We are in Report from Iron Mountain, and this is the concluding video to Part 7, Summary and Conclusions. As our report has made clear, this could be catastrophic. It seems evident that, in the event, an important part of the world is suddenly plunged, without sufficient warning, into an inadvertent peace. Even partial and inadequate preparation for the possibility may be better than none. The difference could be even critical. The models considered in the preceding chapter, both those that seem promising and those that do not, have one positive feature in common: an inherent flexibility of phasing. And despite our strictures against knowingly proceeding into peace transition procedures without thorough substantive preparation, our government must nevertheless be ready to move in this direction with whatever limited sources of planning are on hand at the time, if circumstances so require. An arbitrary all-or-nothing approach is no more realistic in the development of contingency peace programming than it is anywhere else. But the principal cause for concern over the continuing effectiveness of the war system, and the more important reason for hedging with peace planning, lies in the backwardness of current war system programming. Its controls have not kept pace with the technological advances it has made possible. Despite its unarguable success to date, even in this area of unprecedented potential in mass destruction, it continues to operate largely on a laissez-faire basis. To the best of our knowledge, no serious quantified studies have ever been conducted to determine, for example, optimum levels of armament production for purposes of economic control at any given series of chronological points and under any given relationship between civilian production and consumption patterns. Correlation factors between draft recruitment policies and mensurable social dissidence. Minimum levels of population destruction necessary to maintain war threat credibility under varying political conditions. Optimum cyclical frequency of shooting wars under varying circumstances of historical relationship. These and other war function factors are fully susceptible to analysis by today's computer-based systems, but they have not been so treated. Modern analytical techniques have up to now been relegated to such aspects of the ostensible functions of war as procurement, personal deployment, weapons analysis, and the like. We do not disparage these types of application, but only deplore their lack of utilization to greater capacity in attacking problems of broader scope. Our concern for efficiency in this context is not aesthetic, economic, or humanistic. It stems from the axiom that no system can long survive at either input or output levels that consistently or substantially deviate from an optimum range. As their data grow increasingly sophisticated, the war system and its functions are increasingly endangered by such deviations. Our final conclusion, therefore, is that it will be necessary for our government to plan in depth for two general contingencies. The first, and lesser, is the possibility of a viable general peace. The second is the successful continuation of the war system. In our view, careful preparation for the possibility of peace should be extended, not because we take the position that the end of war would necessarily be desirable if it is in fact possible, but because it may be thrust upon us in some form, whether we are ready for it or not. Planning for rationalizing and quantifying the war system, on the other hand, to ensure the effectiveness of its major stabilizing functions, is not only more promising in respect to anticipated results, but is essential. We can no longer take for granted that it will continue to serve our purposes well merely because it always has. The objective of government policy in regard to war and peace in this period of uncertainty must be to preserve maximum options. The recommendations which follow are directed to this end, and that concludes Section 7, Summary and Conclusions, and we will pick up in the next video in Section 8, Recommendations. And Section 8 will be the conclusion to this book. If you've been following along, I do appreciate your doing that. Thanks.